Thank you for coming back from lunch. Excited to talk to you guys today. Really excited to have two very iconic brands here represented, talking specifically about what I think is actually a very practical conversation today about innovating in a recession. A lot can happen, and a lot has happened in the last year, 18 months. What the next 6 months looks like is very much still up in the air, so I think this is a very timely topic as well. So before we get started with a few questions, I'm going to have Ginny and Madeleine just do a quick intro about what their day-to-day looks like, and then we'll dive in.
Am I on? Yes. Hi, I'm Ginny Hundley. I'm with Southwest Airlines. I run our owned and paid media discipline there. I've been there about 7 years, and my background is about 20 years agency side, actually. I was at Kentucky Fried Chicken for a little bit. I've done a lot of QSR, sold some alcohol with Diageo, sold a little bit of everything, but finally found my home at Southwest. It's a wonderful place to be. I'm sure that you've heard about the culture there and the people, and it's all true. And yeah, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, and I can't wait to talk about innovation.
Am I on? Oh, speak very loudly, my team knows. Madeleine Hummer, I'm at Chili's Consumer Insights. We get asked a lot, what does Consumer Insights do? Hopefully a lot of you in this room know, but if not, we like to say, thank you, Jenny. We are the voice of the guest, but also sometimes the voice of the team member. So anything we're changing with the brand to the food, sometimes the messaging, sometimes the menu, even comparing competitors, we like to get a pulse on. And then we also just watch economic factors, recession, and other things to make sure the teams are more aware and they can strategize around.
Great. Thank you guys. Okay, first question for the both of you. Innovation is typically associated with growth and positive economic factors. However, how can you ensure your team is continuing to innovate for both a short-term sales strategy as well as a long-term brand building strategy as well? Madeleine, if you want to start us off.
Yeah, so Chili's is known for their variety. The whole family or the whole group doesn't have to just come in and get pasta with us. Everybody can get something they want. So when we think about recession especially, we need to think about what are things that we are really proud of, that we're known for, and that also have that long-term growth ability. The top three growth foods right now in the industry are burgers, Chili's does that, and then it is boneless fried chicken, so KFC, but also any of your tenders, your chicken sandwiches, and then the third one is Tex-Mex. So Chili's does Southwest flavors, but we also have a national fajita brand, the largest national fajita brand. And beverages, we kind of hit on it earlier, thanks Jesse. The margarita is the top cocktail in the US, and we do margaritas. So I'm going to just focus on one of those, the chicken. We call them crispers, you probably call them tenders. Previously, our crisper offer was 4 pieces. It came with French fries, corn on the cob, and then we had a few sauces. So we went to the consumer and we're like, okay, what can we do with this? We know it works really well. You heard Luz say the honey chipotle is her favorite, and it's our guest favorite as well, honey chipotle crisper. And we realized not everyone just wants 4. So we now are offering 4, 5, and 6 counts. And then we thought, well, what if, Wendell in the back over there, what if we give them this really good white cheddar mac and cheese with it and elevate that corn on the cob? So that's what we did, and then we introduced a variety of sauces. And through that, crispers are up 50% in restaurant, 17% profit. I'm looking at my finance girl, so you hold me accountable. And that was kind of sales overnight, but we know this is a growth area, something we're proud of, so we'll continue to see growth out of it throughout the years.
Well, on a much different playing field, I think from the Southwest perspective, we have innovated really since COVID around extending our network. adding more destinations, increasing capacity. If anyone, I'm sure that you all have flown here recently, and you probably do know that it's not cheap to fly, and I think that's across the board. So it's not necessarily that I feel like is our competitive edge, but we did introduce a new fare product with Want to Get Away Plus. And really just continue to offer like our points of difference versus other airlines, and really just hope that resonates with the customers. And I think sticking to the basics is really just something that we're trying to continue just to do well.
Great. So as you were just touching on, Ginny, as brands that are largely discretionary spending from eating out to travel, how do you suggest other brands innovate their marketing strategy during a recession to continue to drive sales when your customers are trying to pull back at the same time as well? So how do you, Ginny, if you want to start, how do we kind of find that balance?
Yeah, I would say that really just one of the things that we have tried to stay true to is just the table stakes, and make sure that we're doing our base business well. And I think from a marketing perspective, where I'm sitting from a media perspective, paid and owned, is really just making sure that we're set up for success, from anything from like our tech stack to, we just recently partnered with a LiveRamp on an ID for cookieless future, which we talked about a little bit earlier today. So there's a lot in the way of that, and even from an own perspective, I think like automating a lot of things, getting smarter with AI and just technological advances that are just going to make our business perform better in general, without having to like go buy things or spend money on additional like whirly gigs and cool new flashy tech applications or anything like that. Just utilizing what we have and doing it well, I think is where I want my team to focus.
We are two completely different powerhouses. So in the restaurant industry, we call it managing your check. Has everyone kind of heard that before? You come in as a consumer, you have a price point in your mind, and when you can't hit it, you pull back on the desserts, the appetizers, and unfortunate for us, the margaritas. So what we have developed is kind of different price tiers with that program. We have our monthly margarita. It is at a $6 price point every month, exciting flavors, different spirits, even some tchotchkes. This month, if you're coming to happy hour over at Brinker, shameless plug, we have a straw, and we call it Santa's Stash, so it has a mustache on it. Super fun. Demi, maybe we can pull out a few of those to show around. But so that really, instead of someone pulling back on their beverage, they have this like great $6 margarita. That margarita is not for everyone. So we have the flagship Chili's Presidente margarita that you saw in a lot of our campaigns. It comes with the shaker to your table. You get to pour it yourself, really fun. But then we also have these premium drinks as well. Does anyone drink Casamigos? Yes. Yes. All right. Well, come to Chili's. We have it. How about Terramana? We know this one? Okay. Dwayne Rocks, Dwayne Johnson, the Rocks tequila. We have that as well. And we know a lot of guests are coming for that $6 price point, but a lot are coming for like the $13 price point with those celebrity margaritas. What's your monthly flavor right now? It's Santa's Stash. What's our monthly flavor, Demi?
I believe that's strawberry curd.
Strawberry.
And also the wild berry.
I'm a huge Chili's fan, so.
I think you're about to be out of those at happy hour. Thank you, guys. Ginny, question for you. So, as marketers are thinking about innovation in a time when the economy's maybe not great, where does a marketer start? Put us in the shoes, the owned and paid media, where do you suggest starting, saying, okay, this is where we can get scrappy, so to speak?
Well, I think we're able to do a lot of things in the own space that I think is a little more scrappy because you don't really have the investment behind it, but what you have is the investment in your customer base. So, you know, we do have to be careful with how many messages we're sending them, and try to be a little bit sparing in that way, which, to be completely candid, we're not super great with that right now. If anyone subscribes to our emails, we send you a lot of emails. So I think that, you know, really we can play in the own space a little bit, and especially we can do a lot of things on our site. We are constantly trying to innovate and make it a little more user friendly, and create new placements, innovate around like the booking flow, things like that. So that's a space that we can play in a little bit, and yeah, I think innovate in that way. And then I would say, also not in the paid space, but in my realm is just even with SEO. I think that is not something that people talk about a lot, just from a marketing perspective, but it's so wildly important. And really taking a look at every single word that is on every single one of your pages just dramatically impacts the success of your site. So I would say those are two places that I focus a lot of attention with my team. And then I think even in the paid space, there are things that we can do just to change up the mix a little bit, or add some additional targeting, or you know, I mentioned this earlier, but even around like cookie deprecation, that's a huge topic of conversation at Southwest, and we have a lot of time that we spend with our agency, who's Spark Foundry in Chicago, just trying to work with our DSP partners to understand what their roadmap looks like, what, you know, they're doing around innovating for when cookies are deprecated, and testing those things now before it's gone, so that we can see what's working and what isn't working. So anyway, I feel like I could go on and on, but that's maybe in all three of the spaces what I would say, it just as a top line.
Madeleine, when we look at innovating and thinking about what the long term looks like, maybe, you know, during a recession when the economy is not great, whatever you want to call it, when you think about evaluating what performance looks like, and you look back 6 months during a recession and say, that was successful, how do you think about establishing what those KPIs should be, and where do you want to take the strategy of performance when the bottom dollar is under a microscope?
Yeah, it's really hard. Right now, for the past several months, we've seen a lot of brands doing heavy deals and discounting. One, I will not say by name, but you can Google them. I won't judge you if you bring out your phones. It is a competitor of ours that has lost millions of dollars doing a very aggressive deal. So it's something that we're very hyper-focused on to make sure we have that in place. Luckily, Chili's doesn't really have a LTO deal strategy. We have an everyday deal. It's called 3 for Me. So think of a full meal. You start with your beverage, starter, and then you have our entree. And through that, our guests know that they can come in any day and get that deal. And it's great, and it's abundant food. But then what happens is when they come in, they also can sing the baby back ribs song, they can hear the sizzling fajitas, they see our double stacked burgers, also abundant, very craveable, and our teams really watch that mix to make sure we're not over-indexing or one or the other. So even though we might be talking about the 3 for Me, which if you have a TV, you've probably seen the ads, we're also paying attention to some of our other products that we know consumers love.
When you said sing the baby back rib song, I was like, are you gonna tell us that if we go in the store and sing that we're gonna get something? I was hoping that that's That's okay.
I think it should be a part of our playlist. Every hour on the hour, baby
There's only
back
one way to
ribs.
find out, Jenny. Jenny, question for you. Circling back to the original question a little bit about finding a balance between immediate sales and long-term brand building. So I think there was a question earlier with one of the panels of awareness versus ROAS, or performance, so to speak, right? So in a recession, when budgets are strapped, when budgets are tight, and you have to answer to an executive team that cares more about sales, but you still have to continue to build your brand, how do you have that conversation? How do you go about talking about the strategy of here's how they're both working together to ensure that we're still seeing the performance that we want to see long term?
Delicately. I know that well. I answer to those executives every Friday morning. We have a business performance call where we talk about shopping, ROAS. No one cares about awareness. However, I will say that over the course of the 7 years that I've been at Southwest, we've seen some ups and downs, and we've had some ebbs and flows in our media mix and the way that we've approached things. I think, when I came on board, I would call it close to 100% awareness driving. And we shifted that, swung the pendulum, went very digital heavy, very shopping focused. And then now we've gotten a little bit somewhere in between, which is a better balance. But I think that coming out of COVID, seeing the ups and downs even there, because we've had a lot of tumultuous times around, there was revenge travel when everybody got out of lockdown. Well, it was domestic because international still had a lot of restrictions around it. So we were able to benefit from that. Then when the international restrictions were lifted, we didn't fare as well because we don't really go to a lot of international destinations that our competitors do. We call it near international. So if you want to go to like Turks and Caicos, a sunny beach destination, we can take you there, but we're not going to take you to Europe. So I say all that because I think one of the things that we've come to see just recently is it is a balance, and if you don't talk about your brand attributes and you don't remind people why they love the brand, and what you stand for and what you represent, you will lose that shopping value and you will see deprecation in your ROAS. So I think our executives are in a better place where we are adding in more awareness and consideration, and we're on sale a lot. So we are coming to realize, like, when we talk about the sales and we advertise the price points and make people aware of it, they do come in from a lower funnel perspective. So it is 100% a balance of filling the whole full marketing funnel, not just focusing on one end or the other.
What a crazy way to start a Friday morning.
Yeah, it sucks.
Okay, last question for these two, and then we'll wrap it up with any Q&A that you guys have. Love to have them answer any questions that you guys have. So last one for the group real quick. There's typically a negative connotation around innovating during a recession, what strategy looks like, all those things. On the flip side, what opportunities can marketers create during this time? Madeleine, if you want to start us off, like, during times of disruption, where is opportunity to be found?
Yeah, anyone can come talk to me after this because I could talk about this like all day. We could have a summit on targeting. So for Chili's during COVID, like other restaurant brands, right, we got hit really hard on our dining room and bar. Luckily, we did see growth in our to-go. So then after those kind of like peak COVID waves, the dining room came back and our to-go kind of stayed up, which is great. But previously, right, we were like doing our persona targeting as like this one big Chili's bubble. And looking at the brand now, we kind of have 3 mini brands under it. You have the dining room, you have the bar, and then you have the to-go. So it's not like one person or one persona for each of those. I'm not your dine-in, Ginny's just not your bar, and Brian's not your to-go. We're each using them a little differently. So what we decided to do is instead of say, okay, let's do this demo traditional segmentation approach, let's figure out the occasions they're using these different parts of Chili's and target them that way. We still have some demos. I mean, I have to help Jesse and Luz with their creative strategies sometimes. But this is just going to make us smarter and better as marketers, and I think it's really the next wave of market research in the future. So
I would love to talk to you in a summit about all of those things. We are having conversations right now. Seriously.
let's have a margarita of the
Yeah,
month.
if anyone wants to get in on it.
Sorry, let's ask the question again. I got so focused on segmentation, I was like really into it.
Segmentation does that to a lot of people.
Just what opportunities can be created from during times of disruption, recession, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, I think just from my perspective, I'll go back to, I think it's just, in the media communication space, it's really just making sure that we're sticking to the basics, and I think we're focused a lot right now on just, with my team, I'm like, how can we do things like automate? How can we work smarter, not harder? How can we clear some white space for people to think about innovation and to do some of those things that we haven't had an opportunity to do because we've been so bogged down in the day-to-day. And that is just a really critical piece for me. And I feel like that's how we can help the business is just free up some of that white space. And we just don't have any, because I would say ever since COVID, it's just been sort of like a slog. I mean, it's been, we've been just trying to keep up and adapt as we need to, and it's just been so tumultuous, and the teams have worked so hard, and you know, I'd really like to bring forward an opportunity just to give them a little bit of space outside of just the day-to-day. And you know, there's a lot of things that we do that I think we just make it harder than it needs to be. And like, we don't have to recreate sale plans every single month. I mean, we're on sale all the time. Let's create a standardized sale plan, make some playbooks, and set those aside and keep those going, and then innovate around maybe sponsorship opportunities or you know, just thinking of some things that are outside of the box that we haven't necessarily done before. I heard someone earlier mention TikTok, and that TikTok is a place that Southwest is, well, if you guys know anything about Southwest at all, we are very risk adverse, and we are very, very protective of our customers and the data that we have, because we have lots and lots of it, because we have a direct relationship with our customers. So even just getting us into TikTok from an advertising perspective was monumental. So we are on the platform now, and there's a lot of innovation that we want to do just with that platform that we just haven't had an opportunity to get deeper into. So anyway, I'd love to do some things like that.
Well, and I think there's, typically when you think about innovating, optimizing kind of can be used interchangeably. There's a notion that it's going to eventually become overcomplicated, right? And then you look back and it's like, how did we so quickly try to keep things simple, but then it becomes overcomplicated? So I appreciate the insight there. Okay, so we just have a couple minutes left. Anybody have any questions that you guys want to throw out to get some insight from these two?
Madeleine, this question's for you. You mentioned about expanding the CRISPR's volume which I guess most Americans want. But do you view the consumer pullback, but also the growth in these weight loss drugs as a potential threat to your business? And are you going to kind of follow up? Are you introducing healthier and maybe even smaller options?
Did you guys ever on this side of the room hear that question as well? So paraphrasing a little bit, but how is the weight loss drug kind of movement affecting Chili's, and what are they going to kind of do moving forward to make sure that it doesn't impede on business?
Yeah, so first of all, I will say, if you haven't been to a Chili's in a while, we don't have a wide selection of healthy food. We are an indulgent brand, and I'm going to own that for the whole team. So Innovation Friends, we will not be leaning into a heavy salad platform anytime soon, don't be surprised. We are lucky that right now the weight loss drug, Ozempics and all of them, are a very small portion of the population, a lot of like higher income as well. Apparently the snack foods have started to see that pullback, but restaurants have not. So we're kind of keeping our ears and eyes open, but we haven't formulated any kind of strategy against it yet. So we're just kind of keeping a pulse. Sorry, that wasn't probably the best answer for you, but maybe it just won't get to us. I don't know, I'm kidding. We're trying to learn with everybody else before we react.
This is for both Ginny and Madeleine. You said audience segmentation is something you've been talking about forever. Outside of LiveRamp, what are your favorite platforms for audience segmentation?
Favorite audience segmentation platforms?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, we have our own segmentation that we've done. So, I mean, I would say we built all that internally because our segmentation is based on our customer flying behavior. So I would say from that perspective, we have our segmentation that's done, but what I would like to see us get to is more of a persona perspective where it's more robust. It's not just flying behavior. It's more so building out who this person is, what they love about us, reasons to believe. So I would say some implication for paid media, but a lot of implication for creative. And we work really closely with our brand team. So I think that that's where we can really see it come to life and even bring on, we've dabbled around with DCO and things like that, but we haven't been able to get it to full bright. So I think that if we were able to build out more persona, I just think that we would be a lot smarter because we would be more getting to the root of why people want to fly with us, not have it be so general. Because I think we do have a tendency to not want to alienate anybody, so we try to talk to everybody all the time. And we really need to pare it down and make it a little more personalized. So, I mean, we have partners that we work with, from a DSP perspective, that have really great targeting capabilities. And we also use partners like Axiom and things like that to, append to our first party data. But anyway, I could go on and on.
I think we're good. Wrap up? Okay, well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate the time. Hopefully